Hi, I'm Simon Welsh, and we're at the Moth and Nicky Australian Championships at McCRAE Yacht Club. I learnt to sail here at McCRAE, became members in 1981, and I was sailing in Mirror with my dad and my sisters, and then we moved on to flying ants, and then I got away from my sisters and I begged Dad to buy me a Moth. So I have just bought my old boat back about 12 months ago, which is just behind me here. And the person that built it, Jim French, he had actually bought it back off me when I was a teenager, and he did a whole lot of work on it. So my boat was what formed the platform for the Skeeter class, and then the Nicky class, which is what's racing today. So my scow here was one of the first scows ever to foil, and once I got it back, I've just fixed it up for myself. And I've only just got here. In fact, I'm just finishing the boat off now. So we're always in a constant state of rebuild. So mine's Jim French built McCrae hull, which is one of the last designs ever designed for a scow. Yeah, well, it was one of the first foam sandwich scow moths. Jim was building boats, from plywood, and he also developed a skiff moth, and he's built a lot of other boats in glass. But it was one of the first things he'd ever done in fiberglass. So it was basically indestructible. And sailing here at McCrae, you need a really indestructible boat because things break frequently. And so the special thing is Horace is his name, and it's indestructible, which suits me fine. So over the years, the moth classes varied greatly. They started off with really flat hull designs back in the 60s, and then they grew wings. So you'll see my boat behind me, and there's a few in the background. They've got wings on them. They increased the width of the boats, and then they started to go more towards the pointy style boats, or skiff moths we call them. And then they sort of got skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, and then someone they put some hydrofoils underneath them, and they started foiling. So we've got three major types of moth. We've got the flat scows, you've got the low riders we call them, or the narrow skiff moths, which is one just here, and we've got the foiling moths, which are now hitting up in sort of 75 kilometres an hour, which is just incredible. Yeah. Boats that started off being plywood. The Moth Association had some moulds that you could rent out or borrow and make your boat from those moulds. That was called a mouldy. And then they went to these multi-chine hulls, you can't really see, but and then they moved from plywood builds to foam sandwich fiberglass, and then obviously more carbon fibre. So they got stronger and lighter, but it wasn't uncommon at a nationals back in the day, because the moths were all built very lightly. The decks were 1.5mm plywood, so it wouldn't be unusual to have at least 2 or 3 boats with big holes in them in a nationals, and a lot of boat work going on. That's pretty standard. So we've put together a rating system to make up for the big disparities in the fleet, where the really vintage boats and some older wooden boats obviously end up a long way behind newer built, and we've got brand new built scow moths as well. So they're a lot lighter and a lot more high technology. So we've got a handicap system. It's based on time, and essentially there's a yardstick winner for the nationals as well as an overall in both fleets. So we've got the low rider fleets and the scow fleets, and they all run on yardstick. And the foilers there's no yardstick for them. They just go around as quick as they can. Yeah. McCrae's so small, if you blink you miss it. What I love about McCRAE Yacht Club is it's family oriented. It's nice and peaceful down in the peninsula. So it's full of like-minded people, and it hasn't changed in 30 years. So it's just a pleasure to be back here. Goosebumps moment, fantastic.